just populated with all manner of, fey folk, which is going to be this fun thing we explore. And then finally there's the orcs, and the orcs are sort of the least good of the good. They're kind of weird, and that their whole society is built around this council of, sort of clerics, and they live at the base of a primal, which is this mountain god that demands sacrifice. And so they've built this giant arena into the base of this mountain, and they go around and actually gather bad guys or sometimes good guys to drag into the arena to fight other orcs, and their whole thing is about honor in the arena. And the arena floor has all these holes, and so when whoever loses, their blood seeps into it and feeds this mountain god. And eventually, if an orc gets 100 wins in the arena, he gets to go up this trail into the mouth of the mountain god and meditate for 100 days. And when he comes back out, he gets to challenge one of the 5, high priests in the arena, and if he wins, he becomes part of that council. And so it's this sort of like, Iron Chef meets Mayan culture meets orcs, and this whole crazy mountain god idea. So there's a lot of depth, but I'm just giving you the briefest outline.
It sounds extremely intricate already.
Yeah.
This is just the backstory, right?
Yeah, Michael and I spent a lot of time building a fully fleshed out world with a ton of depth that we're going to explore as you get into the game. You're going to be learning about all the backstories, and there's bigger pictures like why, and then little tiny stories about individual heroes, because, for me, good storytelling is about connection to characters. If you're not connected to the characters, who gives a shit why all this other stuff's happening?
Yeah.
Big deal. So our goal moving forward is going to be to start to focus on character stories and telling you about individuals and why, their struggles and why, their journeys inside of Hex are important and cool. That's
nice.
a big focus.
Nice. Now we got a lot of user questions or viewer questions, so I want to get to some of these before they go too high up on the chat here. All right. So first off, Monteblanc wants to know, how is the story presented? Cutscenes or text, or like what are you going for as far as like the story presentation?
There's a combination of illustrations and text and dialogue, like chats where you're actually making selections and talking to people. There are no animated cutscenes at this point. One of the stretch goals was actually that we're going to have an animated intro in a motion comic style, which we're working on putting that together, which I think will be really fun to have a very sexy, exciting sort of opening to what is Hex, which is, I think, cool for people who maybe aren't TCG players or don't really understand what this is. It's a great way for us to have something to get new people involved, which benefits everyone because then we have more people playing and more people to play with.
Nice.
But most of the storytelling is done through text and through chat and through visuals specific images that we've created to sort of show you what's going on. That's, I guess, the best way to describe it.
Nice. All right. Let's see. Rat Mangler wants to know, do you have to choose sides, or can you Ardent play with Underworld or things like that? It sounds like they're pretty clearly defined as who's good and who's evil and who goes where. But
yeah, there are some. Yeah, so it's when it comes to the storytelling, you're making choices about playing Ardent or Underworld, and then it will have impact in terms of when you're going through the dungeon experience and what reactions you're getting and what is the setup to the dungeons. So the dungeons may be different depending on what side you're playing for that champion. But the ability to use all of the cards together and to have one master collection is hyper important. And so we're figuring out how you can have champions from both sides. So you may end up, like right now your top level account is your keep, but we may, when we're still having a conversation about this, we may actually allow you to have 2 keeps, one Ardent World, and if you have specifically champions from one side or the other, that they'll actually live in those keeps, but the keeps both have access to your master collection of cards. Gameplay is always, storytelling is incredibly important, but gameplay, ease of use, and functionality are always going to trump anything else, because ultimately people want to be able to play a trading card game in the way they want to play it, which is as if they had all the cards sitting in front of them and they can do whatever. So yeah, there are some elements that we're still sort of finishing, but I think we have a good plan in place.
Nice. All right. Let's see. Coroner wants to know, will we be able to play all the races on the same account, or will we be limited to one faction like the WoW PvP servers at launch?
No, you'll be able to play everything on one account. It kind of goes back to the question I just answered. I think that's kind of what he's getting at, is the same thing. Like, is it segregated between Ardent and Underworld, and will I have to like say, oh, my collection, I can't play with all the cards I own because I have an Ardent account and I want to make an Underworld? No, that's not. There's going to be a master account level with all your cards, and then you're going to be able to drill down into potentially having 2 keeps, or there is some sort of like hybrid element. So we're figuring that out right now, but don't worry, all of your cards will be usable across every decision you would pretty much want to make in the game.
Nice. All right, let's see. Amantesk wants to know, any chance of Collector Tier getting another set of exclusive cards? Doesn't seem very collector-y to have a max of 3 out of 4 copies of playable cards. OMG. So they want more free stuff. Give them more free stuff right now, Cory.
So I can understand that feeling. Right now, I'm not gonna change the tiers. The crazy unintended consequence of every decision that I make when it comes to a large community like this is just nutty. And again, like if you read the one update about the T-shirt and giving a free card with a T-shirt, which I just thought like, hey, that'd be neat. And then I did the poll and got feedback, and it was like, no, that's not neat, because if I live out of the country, or I can't get the shirt, or I'm not able to buy it now, but I want a complete set. And there were a lot of very compelling reasons why that was a stupid idea, and I should be punched in the mouth.
Shame on you trying to give people free stuff.
Wow.
How could you?
I don't mean it to sound snarky at all.
Yeah. No,
they actually made a good point, and that's why I changed it totally. And I'm going to be very careful about anything I do in the future that could have any impact on people's connection to this game or feelings about how we manage the community. I'm very careful about it, and even when you have the best intent, sometimes you can be making the wrong decision. And so right now, changing any of the tiers or juicing any of those things, I'm not going to do it. That's just, in the last 48 hours, that's a massive risk of me upsetting a lot of people, and that's not what I want.
Yeah, exactly. You want to make everybody happy, which is impossible, but you can do your best.
I want to make everyone happy so bad.
Yeah. Let's see. The Jin wants to know, how will a raid look like from the gamer's perspective? Yeah, go ahead, Bobby.
Oh, no, I was going to ask, so making people happy on both platforms, will the Mac and PC version be launched at the same time?
Yes.
I'm so happy with that. You have so many games. Like, I'm waiting for Infinite Crisis for the Mac, and I was like, I would just love to play this as soon as it comes out for everyone.
Yeah, it's actually the back-end engine. It's highly modified and a lot of work, but the Unity, and we actually have it running on the Mac already. So we were able to pull the trigger and get people working on that, and so that's absolutely going to be the case. This is Mac and PC day one.
Nice. All right, so let's see. Back to the user questions really quick. The Jen wants to know, how will a raid look like from the gamer's perspective? Wondering, because of the layout of the interface, will it be the same with 3 players getting fit into it? So is it going to be like the current board that you have?
Yeah, well, so we have a bunch of different boards we're going to be creating, so you're seeing one right now. But yes, the way it works actually is, so imagine that's your play space, and then you're going to actually be able to slide to either side as if they were sort of sitting next to you. And so when it comes to their turn, you'll be able to slide over and watch what they're doing and see all of their cards, and then you can actually still use your cards to impact stuff that they're doing. So if I want to cast, I want to modify one of their cards after they've cast it, then I can do that, and then it'll slide back to you or slide to the guy sitting to your right, you'll always be in the center. There'll be a guy sitting to your left and a guy sitting to your right, and then you'll all be playing against one raid boss. And so, and there'll be icons on either side of the screen that let you click to slide over to see the other person's entire game space. So it's actually a pretty intuitive system. Imagine you were playing with 2 other people and they were sitting to your right and sitting to your left.
It's just like a regular old game with cards. Nice. CJS95 wants to know, how long will the dungeons take to complete, and how many duels per dungeon usually?
Oh, okay. So it ranges. So we have some dungeons that are 1 duel, basically. Some of the beginning, not many of those, but typically the dungeons will have anywhere from 3 or 4 encounters at the very low end, all the way up. We have dungeons with 18 encounters in them. So there is a total, when we built them, we built like each of the zones and each of the areas and how many dungeons per area, and then the easy, medium, and hard dungeons for each of those areas, and then where are you in your level progression, basically, as you kind of go through the whole thing. So we've mapped it all out to be this kind of fun, arcing experience, and And so that with the dungeons we have now, we added some later, and we kind of plugged them in because we added 10 more for part of the Kickstarter things. We plugged them in sort of towards the higher end, so it'd be kind of, there's more sort of end content. But it is very, very variable from, a 30-minute dungeon all the way up to hours and hours. And the great thing about the dungeons is you can leave and come back, and it will save where you are in that dungeon. And you can even go place another dungeon and then come back to that one and continue on with wherever you were.
Nice. So it'll be easy to come in and out of the game if you've got stuff going on. Like if your mom wants you to go outside and go to soccer practice or something like that.
You absolutely have to leave the house, which I don't recommend. And yes, you will be able to walk away from the game and come back to where you were, which makes it like one of the great things about this game is that you can take as big or as little a bite out of it as you want at any time. One of the things about MMOs lately has felt like as you got deeper and deeper into it, the amount of time you had to spend in any one instance to feel like you've gotten the same level of satisfaction you used to get from 30 minutes worth of play seems to go up and up and up. And one of the great things about Hex is that you get to take it in